Ladies and gentlemen, now that the hype is over, it naturally begs the question, was The Walking Dead The Ones Who Live worth the wait? Was it even any good? Or was it another soulless cash grab that was brought to us by the same writers who gave us this piece of garbage? Well, we're going to discuss all of that and more. This is my full series review of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. My goal is to answer the question, was it worth the hype? I'm going to start out this video by answering a very simple question to give kind of like a TLDR. So let's go. How'd I like it? In short, I loved it. There you go. Click off the video. Goodbye. Okay, it's not that simple. I absolutely loved it, but the show definitely had its problems, which we're going to be getting into in this video. And as a matter of fact, some of those problems are so large that they can't be forgiven. They just absolutely can't. But with even that being the case, I haven't enjoyed 6 episodes of The Walking Dead this much in an extremely long time. I'm talking years since I felt anything close to this. So, this. Really? This? It's been years since I felt like this. And if that's the case, there's no way in good faith that I could say I didn't like the show, even with its idiosyncrasies. I fucking loved the show. Point blank, period. And if this can explain how I feel a little bit further, The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon was actually a show that I was never, ever excited for. And all 6 episodes of that show were absolutely phenomenal. I really struggled to find any flaws with those episodes in particular. But The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, even with its flaws, I still enjoyed more than that. And I gave so much praise to the Daryl Dixon show. But if that is any indication for how I feel about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live overall, that's it.
Period.
I don't know what else to say to what I just said. But, part of me thinks it's because Rick and Michonne are back in the story and we finally got that natural conclusion that we've wanted for so long. I think there's like a little bit of bias there because of that. But does that negate my genuine enjoyment for the show at large? No. Absolutely not. All of this is to say, at its core, even though I did find a lot of flaws in the show that are borderline fatal flaws, I still had such a love and enjoyment for the story at large that I'm willing to put aside the big problems I have when it comes to actually if I enjoyed it. I definitely want to talk about those things because they do matter, but I personally enjoyed it. It still doesn't answer the question, was the show worth the hype? So let's dig in a little bit further. The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is a show that we have been waiting for 6 years, give or take, somewhere in that thing. I don't know exactly how long, but it's been something like that. So obviously there is a lot of expectations we have going into a show like this. I mean, it's just natural. We've wanted to see Rick Grimes for a while. We've also wanted to see the follow-up to Michonne and her finding Rick. We wanted to know more about the CRM. We wanted to know all of that stuff. And obviously we wanted to have Rick back. So I'd imagine in the writer's room and from a creative perspective, this was a pretty tough thing to bring to screen for a lot of reasons. As you guys know, this started out at one point as a movie trilogy. So clearly for a bit of time, Scott Gimple and crew were prepping this show to be a movie. And because it never made it to screen, because we had things like COVID and situations like that arise, I'm sure there was many more things behind the scenes. That story that was supposed to be a movie, a 3-movie trilogy, you know what I mean? A trilogy, that's what it is. I'm sure from there to get to the point of what we saw on screen, there was a lot of bumps along the way, a lot of contracts to be negotiated, a lot of decisions in the writer's room, and they naturally had a lot of time to think about the story. And for the most part, I genuinely do think they delivered on that. When we saw the first episode, episode 1, I genuinely do think it came out swinging. Like, I really do. I think episodes 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, were just so strong they could have been, with a couple alterations, the first movie in that trilogy alone. Of course, you have to add some more stuff, because if you had put just those 2 episodes onto screen, probably would have made for a pretty bad movie. That being said, though, it was still extremely enjoyable. And you know, it's just funny to me to see it go from a movie to to this. Those 2 episodes in general, like I mentioned, they were just so strong. They were fun to watch. And they did everything, I think, right. The pacing was a little bit fast. The story was really well thought out. And it was satisfying in ways at least I never imagined it could possibly be. I don't know about you, but like the idea of Rick and Michonne reuniting the way they did was never a thought in my mind. I kind of had this idea, I guess, in my head for what I wanted it to be. And the show just did it in a way that didn't like scratch that itch, I guess, but it did scratch another itch in a way that I didn't even know it. I was like, oh, damn, that's good. Like, that's how I felt about the reunion and the first 2 episodes at large. They subverted my expectations in ways that I couldn't even perceive prior to seeing them. And I just love that it did it. I really do. And I said it in my review for episode 1. Bravo, Scott Gimple. I really do think those 2 episodes just came out swinging. And then episode 3, which didn't have as big of a job to do as episodes 1 and 2, which 1 being the reintroduction of Rick and 2 being the reintroduction of Michonne and how their stories converge. 3 obviously didn't have those big triumphant things to overcome. They didn't have reunions and people to see. But naturally, even 3 was so unbelievably good. It was a fantastic episode. Really was. Finally seeing Rick and Michonne back together, and there were still so many questions, and clearly there was a lot of chaos in that situation and all of that. It was so fun to see on screen. So if we're thinking about it realistically speaking, episodes 1, 2, and 3 were just so good. They really, truly were. And after the 3rd episode, I still had full faith that we'd get to a sound resolution by episode 6. I really did. I mean, to be fair, yes, the pacing up to that point was fast. But in the back of my head, and it's going to be a common theme in this video, but in the back of my head, I had to remember the whole time, and I'm sure you guys did too, this is a 6-run show. You know what I mean? 6-episode run show. That's it. They have to rush certain things. And that's understandable. But where this is going to become more of like that nearly fatal flaw is later. And that really starts with episode 4 of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Because when I watched episode 4, you guys know I posted the video, I wholeheartedly, in every which way, enjoyed the episode. I loved the acting. I loved the writing. I loved even the set pieces. I loved the visuals. Just, I could go on. You know what I mean? I loved every single bit of that episode. And I thought it would have been fantastic if that was an episode in something like a 16 episode series. You know what I mean? Something like that. But now seeing what we got with episodes 5 and 6, which we're going to get into, but now seeing what we got, I have much more of a problem with it. All things considered, though, I still thought episode 4 was absolutely phenomenal. It was finally getting a good bottle episode with things we wanted between Rick and Michonne and stuff like that. And I'm so genuinely glad we got it. It was actually legitimately amazing. It's just with the context of episodes 5 and 6, it didn't work. It just didn't. It could have worked if it was a longer series. And again, I'm going to say it another time, but we're going to get into the pacing in this video because that's what I really want to talk about, is where the show went wrong with things like that. Whatever, regardless. Then we got episode 5, which naturally had to follow up with the Jadis storyline and all of that. And I think it was a good episode kind of, but they wasted so much time with things like the Father Gabriel stuff, the people in the woods, and then Jadis talking forever as a way of her death, but she was a villain. Then they tried to make her to be a good person, or she died an artist. Okay. who cares? She's the villain of the show. She was more of a villain than Beale, which obviously is a thing that we're going to see in episode 6. But she was like the big bad of this show. If we're looking at it holistically, she was that. You're not supposed to make her redeemable. We've seen her since season 7 of The Walking Dead. And yeah, she had her nice moments where she smiled at people or drew Glenn or whatever. But she was still not a good person. She still did a lot of things that were bad. And sure, underneath, there was parts of her that was nice. Yeah. But she royally tried to fuck Rick and Michonne multiple times, not just in this series. You can't redeem a character like that in the final episode, and you don't have time to. That's one of the biggest things for me. You do not have time to do something like that. I'm sick of seeing that, and sorry if you guys just heard my texts. Joe Biden was actually just texting me saying how much he had a problem with this too. He really, it pissed him off just as much as me. I don't even know how that's possible. Whatever. Anyway, look, back to the thing. Episode 5 had a couple good plot elements that I really liked, but it was still bogged down by, this time, slow pacing in what needed to be fast pacing to be... I don't even know how to describe that, but you know what I mean? Like the wood shit. As much as I love seeing Father Gabriel, and it was a genuine shock, like it truly was, those scenes were just a waste of fucking time. Like, they really, really were. And then the whole monologue, while she is bitten in the jugular of her being like, I wish I died an artist. Like, we don't have time for that. This is why episode 6 happens. And guys, I already did this whole rant in my episode 6 finale review, so I'm not going to go back down this rabbit hole, but the amazing episode of episode 4, and then the weird structure of episode 5 that I know people praised online saying it was like a Walking Dead episode again, but like you can't do that in a 6 episode run. You just can't. But because of those two things, episode 6 was literally like the finale to episode 6 literally felt like, you know how in a video game there's the cutscenes between gameplay, but you know how most people on YouTube will like make a super cut of those things? I'm thinking like in Call of Duty Zombies with like I just went out of focus. Sorry. I'm thinking about with like Call of Duty Zombies, how like they'll mash together things from like Der Eisendrache, you know what I mean? And it's like all the cutscenes brought to be cinematic. Well, that tells like a complete story if you watch them, but there's a lot of details missing because you didn't get the gameplay. That's exactly what episode 6 felt like to the T. Like there's no way of going around that. Episode 6 felt like a fucking speed run. Like, and yes, in theory, that means they still delivered on the promise that they completed the story in 6 episodes, but you just did it in such a fast pace that it became unbelievable. There were so many important details that we truly didn't get to see, like the complete reformation of the CRM, the entirely different policy that allowed people to leave the CRM and how that even happened, let alone all of that, an entirely new logo for the CRM, all the politics that went into that, how Rick and Michonne even got in contact again with Judith and RJ. Like, I know those things really don't matter, and I'm sure in the writer's room they're like, they don't matter and all of that stuff. Let's just give people what they want. Here's the thing with that though. And you know, I got a lot of shit in my video saying like how I got too heated because it was like Rick and Michonne's story and all of that stuff. Guys, no, it wasn't. It was Rick and Michonne's story, yes, but they spent just as much time as Rick was away building up the CRM for them to be speed ran, I should say, in one episode. We barely saw Beale to begin with. Then we get him in this episode and he just dies. Like, that is literally like speed running a boss fight. And I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes things. I'm sure Terry O'Quinn was only signed on for 1 season and all of that stuff and contracts. And they thought it was probably hard to get him and all of that stuff. But still, episodes 4 and 5 immediately impacted what could have been a really sound conclusion. And again, I do genuinely think, for the most part, that they delivered on everything us as fans really, really, at its core, wanted from this spinoff. Like, I wholeheartedly do believe that. I really do. It's just because of the pacing, it made it feel immersion breaking. And that's the problem. And that's why I kind of went episode by episode for this segment of the video. It's that episodes 1 through 3 were so good, and it made me have full trust in the writers. But then episode 4 was still good. Don't get me wrong, but that was the breaking moment to allow it to be bad. You know what I mean? Not that the episode was bad, just that's where the structure fell apart. Because then they tried to do so much in episode 5 that just didn't work. It could have worked in a 16 episode run, but not in a 6 episode run, which immediately then affected the finale detrimentally. And look, I don't like RJ. I know this is a side point, but I have to bring this up. You guys know I don't really like RJ as a character. I don't really think the actor's that strong, but again, he's a kid. So like, I'm not like, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is I'm not that big of a fan of RJ and all of that stuff and in general, but the kid is a kid. He was trying to act. The stuff that I am seeing on Twitter, like death threats for a kid, that's fucking disgusting. Like, yes, okay, we don't have to like him and we don't have to think his acting is the greatest and all of that stuff. You got to remember, though, this kid's a kid. Like, really? There's people that low of life that they're threatening to, like, hurt a kid who acted in a show? That's absolutely crazy to me. That's fucking disgusting. And I just had to bring it up because I think there's a genuine difference between some of the stuff we got and that. It's just disgusting. Like, there's one thing to hate. I guess what I'm saying is it's one thing to have a problem with, you know, RJ as a character or his acting and things like that. And I've criticized it here on this channel, but it's a totally different thing to like shit on the kid personally. That's so fucked up. And I hope his parents really shielded him from that. I'm going too far off on a tangent. Let's get back to the point. Look, I know I just went off on a major tangent about like all of the episodes and all of that stuff, but in doing so, I hope you could like pull apart what I'm trying to convey as the review of this. We're still going to get to the hype stuff and all of that, but I hope you could see that those are my genuine raw emotions for this. I could try to script videos. I could try to do X, Y, and Z to give you something you want to see, but this is my review. You know what I mean? Like this is how I feel as I'm talking about it. This is how I feel. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from with that, because even as angry as I just got about episodes 4 and 5, I truly, again, still wholeheartedly enjoyed the show. And even though I wish we got more with the CRM and all of that stuff, I still liked it. Like, I really did. I still liked it. So I guess that naturally leads to the question, was this show well written? I know that's like kind of conveyed in what I was saying, but I have to bring this up. I think this show was definitely well written. Was it Shawshank Redemption? Was it The Green Mile?
No.
Like, no.
No.
It wasn't anything like Shakespearean, okay? It was Walking Dead. But I do wholeheartedly think that it was very solid writing and methodically thought out. I really think they gave this the proper attention that it deserved to at least complete a story that we wanted to see. And sure, baggage was not included. So like, we didn't get more of the CRM. We didn't get all of the development of the CRM. Just kind of felt like they went out like the White Walkers in season 8 of Game of Thrones. Yes, like that's absolutely true. But at its core, we don't really care about the CRM. The only reason people like me and other people who have talked about it care about the CRM is because the show was actually written in such a way where I started to care about them. And like, I don't know if this is something that they ever considered in the writer's room and stuff like that, but like, I get what they were going for. I know this was all about getting Rick home, but when you have a villain like, you know, like the CRM be built up in such a way, and like it takes 2 seasons to kill or to at least defeat Negan and the Sanctuary, but you destroy an entire army of thousands that had a hidden city, a whole city, in a matter of 6 episodes. That's where the flaws like really come into me. And look, I think all of the stuff we got with the Rick stuff and that side of it was well written for The Walking Dead. Not for like Shakespeare, not like top notch, but it was well written for The Walking Dead. It's just that other stuff brings it down so much. So like, as much as I say I enjoy it, I do wholeheartedly think the writing was pretty poor. Like, it was methodical. It made sense. There was big story elements that I thought were written well, but I can't just factor in those things. I have to factor in the bigger picture, because that bigger picture is what we saw on screen. And what we saw on screen sucked. Like, it did. I'm not saying the whole show sucked. I'm just saying the way the entire arching story panned out with like the A and B plot. One plot really worked, the other plot didn't. And because of that, it sucked. It made for a very confused story. I still, again, liked it structurally. That's why this show, and as a matter of fact, I have to say, that's why this review has taken me as long as it has, because it's very hard to find the words to describe exactly what I mean. As much as I loved it, I had a lot of problems with it, but not like Fear the Walking Dead, where that was like so bad it's good. Even though episode 6 of this show felt like a Fear the Walking Dead episode, especially when I saw that goddamn CRM logo with the circle instead of the 3 circles, just like how they changed Padre to Madre. That's literally what this was. It was the same thing. But like, even with that, I still felt like this show was substantially better in the writing than Fear the Walking Dead ever was. Do I think it was good? Absolutely not. I think, like I said, it sucked. It's just, it was at least better than that piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it. So I guess on one hand, I could say the writing sucks, but on the other hand, I did like it, I guess. You're going to have to kind of like start shooting what I'm loading in this video, start picking up what I'm putting down, all the things like that, because like, I don't know if I'm conveying what I mean well. I hope you got it. I want to know from you guys, do you feel that way? Let me know down in the comments. But with all of that being considered, the question naturally is, was the show worth the hype? I think yes. I really do. All things considered, I actually think this show was very strong, very fun, and it's definitely my favorite Walking Dead spinoff we've gotten. In my opinion, it beats Daryl Dixon, it beats Dead City, it beats all the others. It's very, very strong. Is it The Walking Dead good? Like earlier seasons of The Walking Dead good? No. But I do think this show was worth the hype, and it could have been way more worth the hype if it had an extra few episodes to flesh out why this group could have been possibly defeated in 6 episodes. You know what I mean? Like, if they had spent a little bit more time fleshing out some of the stories, it would have been much better. I think they did a very good job in the first 3 episodes, making the even fast pacing feel very believable. But in these later 3 episodes, they did a terrible job with that. And that's where I really think it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I guess in a lot of ways, yes, I think this show was worth the hype, but it's perfectly reasonable at the same time if your answer is no to that question. Like, some of the flaws we discussed already in this video are so severe that it's hard to avoid, like, truly. But essentially, if you just wanted to see Rick Grimes and like, that's it, just see him get home, yes, this show was extremely satisfying. It answered that, and I think it was well worth the hype times like 10 just for that. But if you watch Korn for the plot, you know what I mean? No, this show was not worth the hype. And again, that's kind of why I feel like this is such a hard video to make. I'm still very torn on it. I'm sure over time my opinion's going to change. This is not the last video that I'm going to make on The Ones Who Live. I don't have any like immediate plans to make something else, but I did want to get this out and like just discuss the show at large because it did a lot of things right. The first 3 episodes were magnificent. The characters we got for those episodes, like the support characters and all of that, whether it was Nat, whether it was Okafor, even Thorne, Beale, all of them, they were all marvelous. Even if they had limited roles in the show, they were all marvelous. So like that worked. You know, the cinematography was amazing because it felt like a movie. The storytelling, at least in the first 3, and then in the overarching thing where it's like if you're watching just for Rick to get home, that was all magnificent. And it just felt like we got a fully conclusive story. It truly did. But because of the CRM and some of the rushing and some of like really goofy decisions that were made along the way, I think it makes it kind of shit. I really do. Like, I don't even know how they could possibly do a season 2. I don't think they're going to do a season 2 at all. I truly think this is it. If you were going to do a season 2, you'd keep the CRM as a threat in one way, shape, or form. But they literally killed off any possibility for this to happen. I feel like that decision is going to be a detrimental decision to The Walking Dead's future. And I could be dead wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. But I feel like that decision is going to be a detrimental decision similar to how Carl Grimes' death in the TV show was a detrimental decision. It's one of those things that you're not going to, maybe they're not going to see, we see it, but maybe you're not going to see it from the writer's room's perspective until you make other spinoffs. And it's like, shit, we really should have kept them as villains. Like, you know what I mean? And I know there's more, like, I know the movie Idol talks about how there's like the whole PPP card and like blah, blah, blah. No. The story is done. What more can you do in The Ones Who Live? That's done. We will probably get another cameo with Rick and Michonne at some point. I'm sure we will. I have full faith on it. It's just, I don't think it's going to be called The Ones Who Live Season 2. That's not going to happen. We might get pickups from him in Daryl Dixon, which I think is perfectly reasonable, where we already heard Carol tell him that essentially Rick is back or someone's back, but now that we know contextually it has to be Rick and all of that stuff. So I'm sure we're going to get that. And I guess I didn't mention this in this video, but I guess that's another flaw I had with the show is we only got reunions with RJ and Judith. And like, I thought that was beautiful. I truly did enjoy that. It's just like, the whole show's about found family. And I know like this apocalyptic Michonne, Judith, blah, 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 that's a found family. But like, it's always been about the found family of that group of survivors walking down the Georgia street. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the show has always been. So it's another flaw for me to see that we got only the reunion of a couple people. But in the same vein, like I said, I'm sure we're going to get that. I don't think it's going to be a season 2, but I do think we're going to get that in another way. I kind of hope I'm wrong, but like, I also kind of hope I'm right because I don't know how they could do another season of this show. I think they should just intertwine them in the universe and things like that. And that's a very sound way to write off Rick. Like, honestly, if this is the last time we saw Rick, I'd be very happy. And I guess if that sums up what I'm saying, was it worth the hype? If that sums it up to the point where I feel like Rick doesn't need to return because I'm satisfied, that's the answer. I think the show was worth the hype, if that's any consolation. I don't for some reasons, but I really do. Look, I feel like this has been the hardest one to make. I know this one has taken me a long time to articulate and all of that stuff, but this was a very hard series to review. I feel like my opinions have continued to evolve consistently over time. They may still evolve, so I don't want to give this as a sound like, that's final. That's how I feel about the show. Because like, I don't. Like, I've rewatched it and all of that stuff, and I still have that same excitement and love for it that I did, even hating some of the major decisions they made. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. This has been a bit of a brain dump. Sorry if this isn't as articulated as some of my other reviews and all of that stuff, but this one's just hard to talk about, guys. It really is. I'm so torn on it. I still am. It's never changed. But overall, the one thing that's remained consistent is my enjoyment for these 6 episodes, even with those flaws, was so strong. And because of that, I can't in good conscience say this show was bad. I really can't. I just can't do it. There was a lot of bad elements to it, but I fucking loved it. So I guess that is to say I loved the show, and I think it was worth the hype. I do want to take that to the comments, though. I'm sure this is going to be a fun one to discuss down there. So, let's stay respectful, all the stuff. If I see one RJ comment, you guys saying messed up shit, I'm coming for you. Like, I mean, I can't really come for you. I'm behind a screen, but you know what I mean. Like, keep that shit out of it, but let's have a healthy conversation down there. And with all that out of the way, thank you again so much for watching this video. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.